Hello everyone, welcome to SAP Technomaniac. In this video, we will learn about the parameterized CDS view, and we will able to answer some of the basic questions like when we use the parameterized CDS view, is it all the parameters are mandatory to enter in the CDS view, or there is some exception as well where we will not enter some parameters value, still our CDS view will be executing. So let's get started. To create a view with parameter, I will use same CDS which we have created in my last video. So this is the normal CDS view. We will convert this CDS view into a parameterized CDS view. What I mean by the parameterized CDS view, whenever we execute this particular CDS view, it will ask for the some value. When we enter that value, then only the result will be displayed. Not only the on the execution, but also when we call this particular CDS view in my select statement, then also it will ask for the values and then only it will be activated. What I will do, I will create one parameter for this particular CDS view. For creating a parameter, after the defined view entity, and we are giving the entity name, just after that we have to write with parameters, and as soon as we will write with parameter, I have to give the parameter name. So what is the parameter name? P underscore control is I have to give the VBLN as a parameter, because instead of passing this parameter as a constant value, currently when I am executing this particular CDS view entity, I have passed in where condition as a sales order as a 6th sales order number I am displaying in the output, but I want that user should enter any sales order number that should be displayed in the output. So for that purpose, I have created this parameter P underscore VBLN. I have to give the parameter name, then the colon, then I have to give the type of this particular parameter. I can use any ABAP type of parameter or system default whatever the environmental parameter which is we are using whenever we are defining the any variables in the normal program, those all we can use. Data element also we can use. So in this case we will use the data element. We know the type should be VBLN, so I have used the VBLN as a type. So as soon as I have defined this particular parameter, now the system is telling like that you have defined this parameter, but you are not using this particular parameter in anywhere in your CDS. So for this purpose, I want to access this parameter in my where condition. So instead of passing this constant, whatever the user will enter in the parameter value, that value I will pass in this where condition. For that purpose, to access the parameter in the system, what I have to use? I have to use the dollar parameters, and if I do control space, all the parameters will be displayed, and I will pass the sales order number which user have entered that in the where condition, and it will be displayed once the user do F8. Let me activate this one, control F3. As of now, just ignore this program where we are using this particular CDS view. Okay, I have activated this particular program. Let me do F8 to this particular CDS view. F8. So as soon as I did the F8, you can see it is asking for the parameter value, because I have defined one parameter in my CDS view. I can, and this is also mandatory. I can see the star symbol means it's a mandatory. That's a very important thing. So I have to pass this value, then only this CDS view will be executed, otherwise it will be not executed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and any number I can give. I use the 6th number because we were using previously, and I am clicking on OK button. Then the output will come. This time, instead of where condition, we have passed through const. Instead of passing through constant, we have passed as a parameter this particular sales order value, and we can see the result. Or let me do F8 once again. This time I will pass, instead of 6th sales order, some other sales order. I can pass, suppose I will pass 4th sales order, and I will do. So you can see this time I got sales order number 4. So like that, I can get any sales order detail when I pass the sales order value. This is the normal thing. So as you remember from my previous video, I have called this particular CDS view in my one of the program. That time that this particular CDS view was not parameterized, and here we normally call this CDS view and we got the result easily. But now if I try to do F8, I will get the dump, because now you have converted your CDS view to the parameterized CDS view, and you don't pass those parameters here because parameters are mandatory. You have to pass. There is one exception case that also I will explain, but as of now you can see parameters are mandatory, and since we didn't pass this particular parameter, so it will give us a dump. And if you try to activate this one, we will get on first place the syntax error. You can see activation failed with the error C problem view. Basically we got the syntax error. What syntax error? The parameter was not bound. We didn't pass any parameter. So for how to pass the parameter when we call the CDS view or CDS entity in our select statement, what is just after the CDS view entity name, we have to click on control space, control Z, control space, just I can give the p underscore VBLN value, and I have to pass p underscore VBLN value. I can pass any value 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So I have passed this particular sales order value to display in the output. I'm using the CL demo output to display in the output. I have passed. You can see that particular syntax error got removed because since my this CDS view entity is the parameterized, and I have passed this particular parameter as well. Let me activate this one, control F3, and let me see the result. If I do F9, so let me open console over here, so you can see the result as well. Let me clear out the console and do the F9 again. So I got the result with the fourth sales order number 4th and other detail also I got. Like that, I can call the parameterized CDS view in my ABAP report or ABAP program. Now, the other thing, as I told you, the parameters are mandatory. We have to pass. There is one exception. If we can give some default value to this parameter, then these are not mandatory. And the default value we can give is only as a system variables. So how to give the default value? For explaining purpose, I will add one more parameter to our CDS, that will be the date. So what I will do, if you want to add multiple parameter to particular CDS, you have to give the comma separated list. I have to do comma, and I have to give another parameter which I want to give. This will be the date parameter. I want to give the date parameter over here. And the type should be, I can use this time the ABAP date as a parameter. So this will again I have created one more parameter and I didn't use. This time instead of using in my where condition, I will use this particular parameter in my field list. So you can use in the field list, or if you are doing any arithmetical operation, there also you can use. If you are doing any aggregation operation, there also you can use. And if you can use on the on condition, filter condition, or in where condition, anywhere you can use these parameters as per your requirement. So I just want to display this particular p underscore date. To access this particular parameter, again I have to use this a dollar parameter expression and control space p underscore date. I want to display this date whatever user have entered. So if I do control F3, one more important thing, if you are using the I got the error. If you are using the parameter in the field list, you have to mandatorily give the alias name. So I have to give some alias name, then only I can use as just date. I can give some name just date. Now I will not get the error. Let me do activation of this, control F3, and now our CDS view entity got activated. Now let me execute this time. You can see I can enter two parameters, but both parameters are mandatory. Let me pass some value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And let me pass some date also 1991, 1104, or some any date you can pass. And because it is mandatory to pass the date, otherwise this particular view entity will be not executed. Let me do OK. And we can see the result. Let me open over here. So this system date got this sys date, whatever I have entered that date with same date got displayed over here. But that was mandatory. As I told you, there is one hack over here. I can say one exception where we can though those parameters are mandatory. In those cases, those parameters will be not mandatory. So for making that, I have to pass some default value to the parameter. So default value to parameter, I can pass only the 4 or 5 values are there that I can pass as a default value, like this client value, system date, system time, or system variables. Basically, I want to say system variable I can pass as a default value. And since it is a date field, I can pass the system date as a default value, and this will be not mandatory because I have passed this parameter as a default value. So let me do. For that purpose, I have to use one new annotation we learn, environment annotation. Let me write it down. Environment dot system field. To access system field, this is particular annotation is very useful. And this system field, it will give the default value to the particular this date, because we defined this particular annotation just above this particular date. Either we can define over here or just after this p date also we can define. So let me do what value I want to use here. That I can use only 5 values: client, system date, system language, system type, user, or one more thing is there, user date and user time zone. 6 values only as a parameter with the default value. These 6 value is I can use as a default value. Apart from that, and any value I can't use as a default value. So these are the values I can use as a default value. I will use system date in this case as a default value, and I will activate my CDS view entity. Let me enlarge little bit over here and let me activate it. Control F3. One interesting thing you will see when you execute this one. Now you can see this date is not mandatory, but sales order is still mandatory. We have to pass the sales order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Any sales order I can display. Okay. So sales order 9 got displayed, but the important thing is that which I want to show you this time, system date got displayed. Today's date. What is the today's date? Because I didn't pass any date value, so it took the system date, and that particular date got displayed in the output. And with the same goes with this one also. If I will not define this particular parameter is a default, if I will not pass any default value, Control Z, Control X, and Control F3, and I will try to activate this particular program where I have used this particular CDS entity, it will give me error. What error I will get? Okay, let me activate this first. Control F3, and let me activate this particular program as well. Control F3. I got one error, activation failed with the, this will basically say you didn't pass date as a mandatory. If I pass this date also, p underscore date, some value, then I will not get that error. What I will pass? 1991 0202, something I can pass. So since I have passed now this particular, since we have to pass here comma as well if we are passing the multiple parameter. So if I try to activate now Control F3, I will not get any error, and if I do F9 as well, then I will get the result also. So I got the result, but this time date is different. I got some other date. System date I got here. In previous execution I didn't get the system date because I didn't, that time in my parameter the system date was not there. So it's a simple thing. But if I use environmental system field, and if I activate now this Control F3, and if I pass, then whatever I am passing, that will be displayed. And if I don't pass this particular date and I will try to activate, this time it will get activate because I pass default value using the environment annotation. So that is the reason it is getting activated. And if I try to get the result, see the result in console, let me do F9. So I got this time, but date is a system date, today's date I got, and the result you can see how we are getting. So like this is the way we can create the parameterized CDS view. Before going further, I just want to show you one SAP standard program. There, if you want to do experimental thing with the parameter things, so I have something standard program that is very useful. Control C. This is what this is written. I have written the same thing whatever I written. Let me close everything else. So it's written like the same thing. Default value can be assigned with the annotation this annotation, and parameter are optional only when the default value is assigned. We can assign the default value to parameter. How we can assign? Using the environmental annotations. So environmental annotation, we have the limitation, only 5 or 6 environmental annotations we can use, and we can assign as a default value. And we can only use the system field such as a system date, system language as a default value. Other value we can't use. So basically we can say apart from this 6 value, we can't pass any default value, and other apart from 5-6 value, if you are using any other value, then the parameter will become the mandatory. And we have one CDS view, Control C, Control Shift A, Control V. This is SAP standard demo CDS view which used in this particular program. I just want to show you this particular program. This how we usually do. This is main method. This is local class demo, and we have one static main method which we are calling in start of selection. Inside that they have one demo expression table. First what they are doing, they are deleting everything from this demo expression table. Then they are inserting one entry with the ID 1. If you see this demo expression table, it is having the ID field as a key field. I just want to show you ID field as a key field. They have entered one entry with the other field are blank. Then what they are doing, they are calling one CDS view. If you see this particular CDS view, this is DDIC based CDS view. I will show you this is the DDIC based CDS view. You can see in this DDIC based CDS view, they are using 4 parameter or 4 or 5 parameter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameter. They are using all parameters are they are using some default value using this particular environment annotation, and all the fields they are displaying in the output. And one more thing, they are just using ID 1 which they have inserted that particular entry. So this is basic demo CDS view given for the purpose of the how we can pass the default values to parameter, and what all are the values are possible. Only these 5 values are possible, so they have used all 5 values. So what they are doing, if I do the F9 or F8 to this particular CDS view, you can see F8, and all 4 parameters are there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all are not mandatory. Actually all are not mandatory. If I do the F8 over here, if I click on OK button, still it will display some result with the system date, client, UCID, language, and other detail. It will display the error. And if I call this particular CDS, you can see in the program also they have called in one select statement, they have passed all the parameter. In another select statement they didn't pass any parameter, but still we can see in both the cases we will get the same result. And I just want to show you, let me do F9. You can see we got the result, client, date field, time, and both the cases we have got the same result from this particular program. This is the one of the SAP standard demo program which I have used. But one more important thing I just want to show you, might have seen what is this semicolon doing here. They are accessing this particular parameter using the colon. This got obsolete because they have used the DDIC based CDS view. This DDIC based CDS view, we can use still this colon, but in the if I try to use in my entity, define view entity, this particular CDS like this, this particular to access the parameter I will use colon, then it will give us, you have to use the expression, this particular expression, dollar parameter expression you have to use instead of this. So that is the reason in the define view entity or new CDS view entity, we have the stricter syntax check. So we have to follow strictly we have to use dollar parameter only. So one simple thing I just want to, for this CDS also we have another CDS also there. Let me show you that CDS also. Let me go here, control C, this is fields V, and let me do control shift A, control V. This is the another CDS is there, where this CDS and this CDS both are similar, but this is DDIC based CDS view, this one, and this one is the defined view entity, means the CDS view with entity defined created with the CDS view entity in newer way of the view creation, that newer way. That is the reason in this they have used the colon, and in this they can't use colon, they have to use mandatorily dollar parameter. And in this case they have created one SQL view. In this case we don't have any SQL view. This is the one of the example I just want to show you as a standard example. So if you want to see, because this kind of example available in every system, you can experiment, you can copy this program, paste in your local program, and you can do whatever you want. I hope you learn something new from this video. Before going to next video, please like this video, subscribe this channel, and share these videos with others as well. With that, thank you and happy learning.